Welcome to this stage to talk about the EU mission soil. By the way, also this stage is called missions, as you know, and it's symbolical, meaning it's more about the manifestation for building sector, because all of these materials will be reused and afterwards transported to Rutska artist residency. But let's switch to another mission, this EU deal. It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Sandra Kropp and I'm moderator today for next hour's discussion about the healthy soil. We'll talk about why it matters, why we should care about it, because recently EU has launched 5 missions, and one of the missions is called the Soil Deal. What does it mean? And as I said already, why should we care about it is the main question. We will ask our main speakers here today. And I would like to introduce you to our speakers. So first we will have Elīna Lāce. Elīna is a senior expert of Sustainable Agriculture Development Division at Ministry of Agriculture of Latvia. Yes, thank you. Līvija Zariņa, next to her, is a leading researcher at the Institute of Agricultural Resources and Economics. So everything what we want to know about the research and soil, we need to ask Līvija. So Līvija as well. Welcome, Līvija. Then we have Kjosti Lempas, special advisor at Nordforsk, a platform of the Nordic Research Councils, and he is research funding specialist and will shortly give us really few key messages about the soil and importance of the healthy soil. And next to me is Kristīna Irtiševa. Oh, sorry, yes, welcome, Kjosti as well. Kristīna is co-founder of Humiko startup. She is PhD student in chemical engineering, and Humiko offers a soil improver, potassium humate solution obtained from high-quality Latvian peat. Welcome, Kristīna, as well here. Thank you all of being here and sharing your expertise. I would like to inform you as well that the working language of today's discussion is English. So if you need Latvian translation, there is Maya and Alina. Please stand up and please ask for help in case you need translation to Latvian language. Also, there is opportunity, of course, to ask questions, and that's why you need to use Menti.com platform. I think you will see the codes on the screen shortly and time to time, so just enter the codes and ask your questions. As well, you have received carrots here, right? So the carrots you have here, because if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand. And let us know that you want to ask something, and then we will give you a microphone, or we'll ask you just come closer to this camera and ask your question directly to the speakers. Afterwards, you can take carrots with you, because this is discussion about the soil, so it's nice to have something with you. But if you want to eat them, then just leave them here, and we will bring them to some farms so they will be reused as well. Okay, so let's switch now to discussion about the EU deal, this mission soil. And I would like first to ask Kjosti, maybe you can give us few key messages. Why right now it is so important to think about why we need this healthy habitat under our feet. So please, the floor is yours. Use your microphone.
Thank you, Sandra. Shortly I will start the presentation. Where I described not only the soil, but what is going on back in the background. We are talking about emergencies. 3 emergencies. One is climate, one is biodiversity, and one is soil. All these are emergencies in a way that we need critical actions within 10 to 20 years to avoid a catastrophe, in a way that those, let us say, like soil is no more viable, no more usable if we don't act. The climate emergency is most well known for you. I guess it's everyday news, what is going on, what are the extreme events going on in the climate, and what are the political actions. Biodiversity is kind of growing. You know more and more about how the species diversity is declining, And soil, unfortunately, it's less known. We don't talk, we don't discuss about the soil, and we mix concepts like soil versus land. Let us see. So climate emergency, there is a strong national and strong global actions and binding agreements what to do to reduce the effects of the increasing temperatures and how to mitigate and adapt to the increasing content of carbon dioxide. And here is emergency in a way that our goals, we are reaching them all to, or we don't reach them easily. We can see that the temperature is increasing and our actions are too weak, but still there is a global agreement to do something. Then we have, we have a biodiversity emergency, which is as critical as the climate emergency, because biodiversity, we are dependent on diverse biological ecosystems here on Earth. But we don't have any binding agreements globally which helps us to protect biodiversity or improve biodiversity. There is awareness that we should do something, but still we don't do enough. And even here in EU area, in Nordic countries, in Latvia, we are actually doing a lot to reduce biodiversity. So there is a time to act. Then soil emergency, I would say that is the biggest emergency. It's as urgent as the other emergencies, but there's less awareness about this. There is no global agreement what to do to protect the soils and keep them in a healthy, productive condition. We have a similar type of panel as in the climate change sphere, but that's a technical panel, not a political one. And it helps the national governments to do plan actions, but that's not enough. And then we have an EU soil mission, and we will later hear more about that from the expert, Latvian expert. I would say that the living labs here is the key word. Living labs, how to engage the local people, the farmers, the civil society to protect the soil and help us to get keep the soil health for the future generations. Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. Seems that we have such a clear message, like climate change is definitely making our planet warmer. Biodiversity loss actually usually is helping us to adapt and maybe make these ecosystems stronger. So if we lose biodiversity, so we have weaker ecosystems. And if we lose healthy soil, then actually we can't adapt to these climate change issues. Why it's so hard for general public or governments to understand the importance of healthy soils? Why you mentioned there is no awareness or just like growing awareness and no plans for doing something about it if it's so important? What's, first of all, your personal opinion? Why is it so?
Very personal opinion is that people don't have a concrete connection to the soil. I mean, how many of you are doing gardening and seeing what happens in the soil?
Please shake the carrots who are doing gardening.
Yeah.
So almost half or
one third. But we need a majority. We need like a 90% of the inhabitants here and overall. But we have many urban people who simply, the only connection to the soil is the soil on the potatoes in the shop. That's it. And it's only a medium. It's not a living thing for those people. But it's because we have not informed them, we have not engaged them to understand the soil.
The meaning for that. Maybe other opinions. Christina, will start with you. Why is it so? Why we don't care so much about the soil if it's so important?
I totally agree with you. Yes, it's about communication also, because when I start create my startup, I also doesn't know so much. I think I'm coming from a small city, also doing some farming stuff. Then I know everything. But basically, there is so many researches what we doesn't know, what we can't read in magazines or newspapers. We really need to understand what is scientist part, what they are doing in Latvia. And basically, also what I understand that farmer communication with researchers is so small. There's like some people who do that. Basically, it's big farmers who have very big plantations, and they understand, oh my God, if I will not do nothing at now, that will be really bad in the future.
Okay, so lack of communication between farmers and researchers, and maybe researchers in society. So, Livy, then comes question to you. How much researchers actually pay attention on soil issues? Is it top of the research priorities? Or, and also, about the communication with farmers, do you see that there's a lack of it?
Of course, we are working with soil problems already very long
years.
Just
closer, can you hold on?
And if to know what is with soil, how changes soil showing. Of course, people need be educated, and education on soil starting in basic schools. And it's pity to say that people are not remembering simply definitions that soils are upper fertile layer of earth. And there is two key words, fertility and upper. Upper, it means skin. And the skin is the first that feeling any stressy situations. And fertility, it is a very global complex of properties of soil. There are mechanical, biological, chemical properties of soils, and this is complex. And of course, normal people cannot understand what here is. But we all need to remember that soil is a living organism, and there is plenty of different microorganisms. We cannot see them. And the main task of scientists nowadays is to understand how microorganisms feeling underground, and how is this bad influence because of intensive agriculture. And it's not necessary to be farmers to take care about soil. Also, we who are here need to take care about soil and understand that upper us there are a lot of living organisms.
But for those who didn't say that they are doing gardening, how you would say what they can do to take care about the soil?
Of course, they need read newspapers, popular newspapers, and that places they can find advices. And first of all, you need not very intensive work with soils. You need very care. You need grow crops that feeling good in your soils, and it means that you knowing what kind of properties your soil have.
Yeah, there are plenty of things that we can do also while we are living in the city, for example, as well, while we are sorting our trash. And then we cannot put everything together, for example, but anyway, that's the different discussion, by the way, what we will have in the evening. But Elin, I would like to ask you as well why it is so, because you are representative of our ministry, and maybe you can give also some political perspective on this.
Yeah, well, I think that lately soil has been more on the work program for the ministry as well. It's been increasingly, we see that it's getting more and more important, and mostly also because the climate policy has been so important lately. We see all these EU initiatives, all these EU documents that are coming out lately, and soil is on them as well, and that's why the awareness is raising. And in government, I see that we are starting to get more thorough understanding about why we need to protect soils and how to do it. And we also look at researchers to give us some pointers. What do we need to do? How do we move forward so the soil is maintained in a well state? And also maybe my personal opinion, but I think that for a long time we've been farmers have been working the land. They've been, trying to push out as much as they can. And now finally the focus is on the soil, because we start to understand how important it is for climate mitigation, and how important it is to produce food, and how important it is to keep it healthy so it can give us food for the long term in our future generations.
I would like to ask you as well, maybe can you explain us in simple words what actually this EU mission soil will mean, and what will happen in the nearest future? Because I understood there are plenty of activities and all these living labs that Kirsti already mentioned, so maybe you can explain what it means. But first I would like to ask our audience, how many of you have heard about the EU mission soil? Feel free to say that you haven't heard, it's so normal. So raise the carrot and say that you know it or you don't. So we can see that really few people have heard about this mission, and there is plenty of things to do to communicate about the soil. Elina, could you please now introduce us with the topic?
So the EU Soil Deal for Europe is a mission. It's a new initiative that will help make soils healthy by, it's hopefully by 2030, but it includes taking together all stakeholders, from government organizations to researchers to civil society and society like you, putting those people together and understanding what are the actual needs of soil, what do we need to do, and how do we need to move forward. It consists of 4 building blocks. So one of them is creating a research agenda, what needs to be researched. Then it's soil monitoring. It's understanding what data we have on soil, how to make data more synchronized in all countries, because we have a lot of data that's taken from a lot of different places, and a lot of times this data, we cannot compare it to other countries. So we need to make this data harmonized so we can get a thorough picture of where our soils are at the moment, how do they look. Then we have living labs and lighthouses, which will be living labs will be like pilot sites, farm sites that will try to test innovative ideas on how to improve soil fertility, look at all these properties of soil and how to make it to 2030 and have them healthy. And lighthouses will be sites where you can showcase good practices and educate or share your knowledge with other farmers on what are the best practices in sustainable soil management. And the 4th one,
can I ask you,
yes?
like this lighthouse, so it will be a place where there will be like ready solution. Just come, see, and say you want it or you don't want to
yes.
have it. And living labs are the places where you just teach people to do it, or just
you experiment. It's more for farmers to experiment on their site and see what works best and see the best solution.
Okay. Kirsti, you wanted to add something? Yes. With the microphone?
Sorry. About the living labs, I can see that there is a benefit for the local farmers, but also remember that at this latitude there are other countries as well, and cooperation with your neighboring countries and countries in the Baltic Sea region is very beneficial. There are kind of a bit different solutions, but still there are lessons learned such that Latvian experiences can help the farmers in Sweden or Finland to develop their activities, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. You wanted to add, yeah?
Yes, I just wanted to add that we are establishing a cooperation between the Baltic Sea region countries, talking about Lithuania, Estonia, and Poland, and we are looking to create a coalition to work on these living labs in the regional sense. We have the information from the European Commission that we should also work on national level to figure out what's our issues, but we should also, yes, as Kirsti said, we should cooperate with other regions to see how we can improve each other.
Livia, yeah, please.
Yes, I would like to add that nowadays, last years, we already have quite active ape agri groups, and those groups are very specific groups, and of course in national level, also international level. And one of such group works on going more deep into is soil organic matter group, and this group have really good experience already in practical farms and many farmers already going around and looking for those good practices, and scientists are very close to those activities because we have experimental fields, and we are sometimes very rich if we have long-term experimental fields. And for example, not very far from this place, we have long-term experimental field where we comparing 11 different crop rotations in different fertilization backgrounds. And we are also looking for different farming systems. And between farming systems and organic matter content, there is a lot of new knowledges.
But when we can start to see these living labs or lighthouses, it's already this year, next year, or it's in the, I don't know, much further future? Elena?
I think it starts next year. They have, the program is out, and until 27th of September you can apply for the research part. The working program is out, but I'm not sure, actually. I won't be able to answer this question at the moment.
Anyways, it's closer to these years, not like 2030, because in 2030 we need to have already our targets reached. I also wanted maybe, Livi, ask you, how much do we know now about the health of Latvian soil? If the target for EU is to reach, if I'm not wrong, 75% by 2030 to have healthy soil in Europe, how much we have in Latvia right now? It's like closer to 50, closer to 20, or closer to already 70?
Oh, very hard to answer because situation with soils is getting worse and worse. How large amount of soils are healthy? First of all, we need to understand what does it mean, healthy soils. It means that crops feel very good and giving good yields. And to see without any measurements is the only possibility, only see crop, and if crop feel good, it means soil is okay. But the main property is soil organic matter content. And if to look from this point of view, soil organic matter content in more than 70% is not enough, and this is the main reason why I am not very big optimist.
Big optimist of reaching this 75%, or that in 75% doesn't change a lot for a healthy ecosystem?
It doesn't change, I think, yeah.
Christine, you have other opinion about how much do we need healthy soil to?
I think that need to understand that there is not only about this organic matter, but also microorganisms, fungi. It's always like a big system. If there will not be the small part, macro elements, it still doesn't work, because still needs this detail for start working. It's like a big machine which need to research and understand. It have different behavior in different climate situations. It's depends on the what kind of country it is. And I also have a comment about the future a little bit, because I don't know you or not, but in space industry there is a new goal that in 2050 there will be this first steps on the planet, and they are looking now how to improve the soil, how to grow plants out of the planet. And it's interesting that they are also looking for different solutions, but we have totally in different workspaces, but still it's the same situation. And when I have talking with them, it was interesting that they do the same but little bit in different laboratories. They have more like glass houses, something like this. And also, if we're talking about data, there is now open satellite data, and it helps really. In Latvia, we have Vides risinājuma institutes, which helps in other countries to understand what you can see in the satellite data, what's happening with your plants and with the soil.
Now I'd like to remind our listeners and viewers here that you can ask your question as well here, and you need to just submit this code that you previously saw on screen, but shortly we'll see again, in Menti.com platform, or just feel free to raise your hand or these carrots that you have here, and we'll give you the microphone. And also for our listeners or viewers who are watching this video online on Facebook platforms, I will just remind you that if you write your comments under the video, they won't reach us so maybe fast, please use Menti platform as well. But you all the time say that, oh, we need this healthy soil and we'll need to help the soil to become healthy. What you would call the, I don't know, the best practice, I don't know, top 5 or top 3? What are the solutions? Okay, Christina, you have created one of the solutions, like innovative approach to create something that helps these microorganisms living into the soil. Probably this is only one of the examples, but maybe first explain how it works and how did it come you started something like this?
Everything starts with the peat, with the Latvian peat. I have heard from my colleagues from another countries that we have very good resources and why we don't use it. Then I start research how much farmers use the peat for 1 hectare and when I understand that they use about 50 to 60 tons per hectare, it's so huge amount, come on. And I understand need to do something. There's so many innovative technologies which helps to produce like a good liquid for spraying systems and something, and from peat we can do the same. The best explanation is with the coffee. Like a coffee beans is the same. Will you eat a ton of beans or you get and drink good espresso? It's the same. So our solution, Humiko, helps to improve the soil, like this organic matter, yes, but the same. Need to understand it's like a one compound of this. Still farmers need to figure out where take fungi, where take microorganisms, and to be sure that there is everything. It means that need to do analyzing and go to another researchers who are professionals and experts in this and understand which is the best way, because we are small step to go closer to this solution.
So this is one of the examples. Livia, would you add something, how you, from researcher perspective, comment such solutions?
For me, it's a good possibility to see long-term results because I'm quite long in the science. But one of the possibility is to go more close to organic farming because this is natural systems and organic farming systems in the long-term balancing situation in soils. But for this, we need some more years than 2, 3. It's not enough, of course. And if you have a healthy system, if you have a balanced system, and such system becoming after organic farming, your results will be better and better. And soil will feel better, and crops will feel better, and also food quality will go up.
But then maybe some of listeners could say that, but is it enough with organic farming? Usually we have heard that we need also these big farms, otherwise we can't feed the planet. This maybe question how maybe big part of the all agriculture comes from biological farming, but how you would say if there are still always a part of farmers that will use pesticides, or they will use a bit less but still pesticides for the soils, or the same cultures will be cultivated years and years in the same place. Can we, I don't know, bring the dream about a healthy soil closer to us?
It's, again, hard question because economical situation giving their rules and is very long to wait for these good systems. Therefore, we can be optimists and wait very long years, but this situation, this farmer economical things putting in first place, and this is a bad thing. But actually, I believe to healthy system, and if will be enough products yield, not so easy to say. But we have from such agri groups, from also experience in good practices farms, that also in organic farms we can get 8 tons of wheat, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Kiosti, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, but
Micro.
It seems that I never learn. A comment on the area. We need more soil, healthy soil, to produce food for all the human beings in the world. There is a blog in Luke website. Luke is a Finnish Institute for Natural Resources, and there is approximately every human being in the world has for has one football field, arable soil. And 20% of that football field is used for human food. 80% is used for animal feed. So now this goes to the food section. Should we somehow change the diet that actually we can get a little bit more football field for food production and a little less for producing feed for animals?
What policymakers say about this? Because, yeah, we have heard quite a lot about that. Actually, animal feed takes much more resources than our human food that we produce from the soil. What are the solutions?
I agree to both colleagues that we need to create a more healthy system. That's a very important thing, that we need to understand our soils and then learn how to produce food in a sustainable way. But also, yes, Kiosti is right, I think, and we need to. That's why, you know, we see these diets as trends lately, but actually it's just trying to focus your attention to something that is important. And a lot of times when you present something to people, the first reaction, especially, I'm not sure how it is in other countries, but in Latvia, when you present something new, the first reaction is, no, wait, we can't do something new. And that's why communication is very important, and that's why also we need to explain to people these issues. That's why we need to communicate both climate change, biodiversity loss, and soil health issues. We need to communicate them, because then people slowly will start to understand that this is a problem. And what can I do to help? And then there are a lot of people who want to help. And also farmers. There are a lot of farmers who are enthusiastic about these issues. And they will work towards creating a healthier ecosystem, in not just in landwards, but ecosystem as a country. And that's where we come in with funding options for organic farming, and funding options for different things that can help farmers transform their land to something else. And in Latvia, only 36% is arable soil. It's agricultural soil is not a really big part. And I'm saying that because not a lot of that soil is fertile enough to grow a good amount of food. But the good thing is that the not so fertile soil is better for organic farming. At least that's in my experience. It's better for organic farming because you can do more with different types of solutions than putting in intensive farming methods. And these are the things that can help us, I think, transform our soils toward a better future.
Yes, thank you. So now I would read some of the questions that comes already from our listeners from Menti platform. And one of the comment actually maybe is more like, in Latvia we have a problem. There is not enough researchers working on soil issues, especially soil microorganisms. Livia, is it true? And if yes, why so?
Yes, this is total deficit of such specialists. Yes, it's true.
But it's because of what? Lack of, interest of researchers, lack of knowledge that we needed, lack of funding?
It's hard to work with microorganisms that you cannot see. But actually, I think that universities need more students such a direction, and some golden scientists will become.
Yeah, Christine wanted to add something.
I want to say that yes, it's true. It's not problem only in this kind of specialists, but in everywhere where we need the nature specialists. We have this huge problem. And I have talking with also students. They said that they're really hard to understand this chemical biology in schools, and teachers are not interested very well. That's the reason why they don't go. But sometimes I think that sometimes they don't get out inspiration from another people. Sometimes teacher is not the person who will be always introduced with this interesting work field, because I also have looking for around for the people who do that. It was really nice that they show you good experience. It's excited you, and you just think, oh my God, I want to do the same. Yes.
Yes, Kiosti and Elina.
Okay, I just wanted to add that from the ministry perspective, we also see that there is a shortage of these researchers because we work with researchers to find the best solutions, obviously, because we cannot guide policy ourselves. We need some backup evidence for that. And we see that it is hard for the researchers as well because the capacity is as large as it is, and they cannot do more than they are already doing. So, yes, we would also like to inspire people to please go into this field because it's so important.
So the lack of researchers is also a problem in Nordic countries, and I have a solution. It's the international cooperation in research.
But is it so easy to exchange these experiences? For example, what researchers will find in Latvian soil, and then something will be differently completely in Finland, and completely different problems and challenges probably in Denmark, or there are some common things that expertise can be shared easily?
I think Livia knows better than I, but I think there are at least some common knowledge which can be used also in Latvia.
We already cooperating with scientists from other countries, especially in Scandinavia countries, and we have good friends in Luke Institute and also in Oslo. We have some good colleagues, and they knowing each other work. And I'm inviting all of you for conference also concerning barley. Will be very large conference, and was large conference on soil in Lithuania. Also took part and met colleagues from other countries, and we using each other knowledges, and mainly I coming from practical side on mainly crop management methods. We comparing and preparing our ideas for other countries also.
One more question is about the concrete activities. What initiatives exist in Latvia for farmers to prioritize health of the soil? What do other countries do to increase soil health? Do we talk about concrete initiatives we can really prioritize and communicate to people, farmers? Elena, you will start.
Okay. Well, for now we have the soil deal, what we're talking about today, and that's a large initiative because we are trying to coordinate all the stakeholders that should go into the development of the work program, and also there is funding available for the research and the experimental sites that we talked about earlier. And there was an amendment in the law. No, sorry, that's about a different thing. I'm trying to remember Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I got lost somewhere.
It was about initiatives that we have in Latvia for farmers to prioritize this health of soil. What we can expect.
So in the next funding period of the Common Agricultural Policy, we will also see eco-schemes and agroecological practices that will be funded or subsidized, that farmers will be able to apply to. If their criteria is met, they will get funding for different soil improvement practices.
Okay, Olivia wanted to add.
Yes, I wanted to tell to you that we already working such activities because Minagri already funded some projects. For example, cropping systems where we comparing different preparing of soil. You working with minimal soil tillage and no tillage and comparing, and we already have 4 years experience and farmers are very happy. And we work together with 8 farms and we already have like living labs.
So actually it's working already. You wanted to say something very short?
I just remembered about projects. We also have a Norway Grants project where we, together with Latvian University and Plant Protection Services, establish a carbon monitoring system which will help to understand soil carbon and then work it into policy documents as well.
One more very concrete question. Does this mission include preservation of poor so-called soils that are characteristic to particular ecosystems where more organic matter would be destructive, or does it only apply to agricultural soil? This is mostly about the soil deal, though. For which soils we talk about more?
That's a very specific question indeed. I won't be able to answer maybe fully, but soil deal focuses on all soils. It's not simply agricultural soils. I'm maybe talking more about agricultural soils because that's where my expertise lies, and I don't know much about forest soils and other soils that there are. But I believe that it should address all soils. So,
Aliva, maybe you know something more about these poor soils.
Poor soils are also rich soils, because in poor soils we usually can find more biodiversity from natural side. And if to look on crops, natural crops, maybe not natural, but wild crops, yeah, and wild crops usually showing properties in poor soils. And our biggest expert, Solvita Rusiņa, already working very hard into, and I think that we need not always very high organic matter content, yes. And if to speak about forest soils, I think that rose is already a problem because of all trees getting away from forests, and without branches, soils getting poor, and there will be big problem after but after years, and this is the next problem.
Christina?
Yes, I have a comment about this. I work with Silva, and now we start working about the soil improving too by granules, because I understand that, yes, if you don't do nothing, that's not good will be happen. Trees will be grow slower, and the Finnish, of course, need to understand what happened there also and find the best solutions, because there was a very typical question. We have the same tree like in Canada. Why the Canada tree is much bigger than in Latvia? And then they said, yes, of course, we don't do nothing like and not improve the soil. It was the reason why the trees are so small than Canada. And yes, they're working for that. They're looking for different solutions by charcoal.
Yes, and I'm very skeptical concerning of soil transformations, because there is 100 to 1,000 years for 1 centimeter to form soil, and in one year we putting this like forest soil. It's terrible from my point of view.
Then the next question is about the regenerative agriculture. One of our listener asks, how important is regenerative agriculture? What is the status of transition to regenerative agriculture in the Nordic and Baltic region? So there will be also a question to Kjosti probably, but first about how it is happening in Baltic states and Latvia. Do you know something about this regenerative agriculture? And Christina, maybe you have heard more?
I only know from the farmers, from the interviews, yes, that they trying to go through these old directives and try something new sometimes. There's a small amount of the farmers that really do that, because they understand that sometimes read these directives and don't find the logic. But idea is that they doesn't do nothing, just leave the land for a year and then start do the work again. Another way was that they try to change cultures, what they're growing, because if they change, then the land will be take another elements will be collected again, and they go to the circle. How this is effective, hard to say. They start small time, sometime before, but sometimes it seems that it doesn't work, but still people are trying.
Kjosti, you have something to add about the Nordic countries, about these initiatives?
I guess it's at the same level as in Latvia, so it's pretty scattered nowadays. There is, of course, the normal crop rotations and non-tilling activities, but real regenerative agriculture is pretty rare.
Thank you. So next question also from our listeners. So what are measures that the policymakers could do to improve the soil, and should we use more old methods, including animal manure for fertilization? What's your opinion on this? Elina, you start first.
Yeah, as I said before, we are in a lot of different initiatives, such as the project that I told you about, and we have various types of these projects, and most of these are international projects. So there's also a lot of cooperation with other countries, so we can bring in the knowledge from those as well. And fertilization, it's, well, as we talked about organic farming before, it's best to have a holistic approach to it always. So the practice of keeping both having fields of crops and keeping animals is I think, in my opinion, that's the best practice that can be.
What do researchers say about that, Livia?
Yeah, what can be better if you have animals and crop production together, all going into system and system getting healthy? Of course, we totally have not enough organic manure, and we need to take care about. But there is again next problem: we not managing good this organic manure, and this is another topic. But this is a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Christina.
I want to say that it's really tricky because this is new sector. We need to find the boundaries, how big concentration we need to put, and also need to understand and predict the next steps. What will be happen if something goes wrong? If there will be antibiotics or microplastic, what can go in the plant, and then we'll be eat it and go on. So about the sterilization, need to think. It's really hard to figure out the first research from the one project what will be, because there need more time for this, but it's a good way how to really improve the soil. Just need to research.
But we have already such results. We need simply take them from times before.
So if you have more questions, please send them to Menti.com or just raise your hand or these carrots that you have here, and we'll give you the microphone to ask a question to speakers. But I want to also ask Christina first of you about the role of innovation, because your product is quite innovative, and we like these kind of solutions for soil health. This current situation with Russia's invasion to Ukraine, for example, do you think that in these cases we will more foster the cooperation between innovators and maybe stakeholders in this region, and this is a good time to provide this sector with new products, or opposite, it would neglect it?
I will say that, first of all, there need to be changed some policy decisions for go to this, because if we're talking about innovation, it's really hard in Latvia because investments doesn't be so good for you. They are looking for like a risky element because they don't know what to expect from you. They don't want to give money for away. They want to get a result for now. But my solution is long term. So the first result will be only if you have a planted house. Of course, for the trees, for the farmers, this result will not coming in the first year. It will be going after time. For my side, I will say that there is a good moment for now to get this collaboration, because people how changing this mind, they start understanding what is good, what is not so good, and trying to find a new way, because there is always new option what you can choose for growing.
Is this time for when people are ready to pay more for environmentally friendly solutions, or how, Kjosti, you think this is the right moment to jump in with innovations?
It's always good time to utilize the innovations, and good to see Christina's example that there is a research and innovation so well hand in hand. That's important. And sorry to hear that investors are not willing to give a kind of long-term support for the development work, because it's about the time scales. First of all, it's about what is the life cycle of an innovation. It always takes years. You don't get your feedback in next quarter. The second thing is that we have also a time scale of climate change. Within 10 years, we have quite a different climate here. There is an urgency, as I said in the beginning. But also, the solutions today, are they feasible also in 2030, 2035? That's a good question. So all we do to help the soil get healthy, are they feasible actions also when the climate is much warmer than today? This is I think, a quite critical question.
You mean, will these actions be feasible when we will face already different reality because of the climate change, that we will need to adapt to much more different situation?
Yeah, this is what I try to say, that really we will live in a completely different reality.
Elena, you want to say something as well? Livia probably as well afterwards.
I want to agree with Christina about the long-term funding opportunities from the governmental side. Well, this is my personal experience. I don't want to, but it's true. It's very hard to fund long-term projects from the governmental funds, and that's why, especially in my division, we are really hard trying to coordinate international research opportunities so that researchers would be able to get these long-term research opportunities, because if we can't do it from a national side, at least we're trying to find it to do somehow. And about innovation, I feel like it's true that it's a good time for it, but at the same time, we should remember that people are scared, people are anxious, and so are farmers. They are trying to understand what will happen. When we will only see the long-term effect of this crisis, of the invasion, after some time, and it's a food crisis as well. And innovation is, I think, also from these moments of fear comes innovation, because you try to think differently, you try to adapt, you try to understand how can I be more cost efficient, because obviously everything's so expensive right now. We need to adapt to the situation, and I think yes, that. Yeah.
But all these solutions will be, so feasible for everyone. So actually every farmer will be able to pay for example, such a good, innovative tool to make soil more healthy. Or there we still face some differences between the, rich farmer and poor farmer, and how much everyone can.
Oh, I think definitely. I don't know. That's my personal. I think. Well, we are developing tools that will be able at farm levels for everyone at the moment, and hopefully they will be accessible to everyone. And then also there goes the issue of data protection and all of those things. But those things should be available to all farmers, and we should really work on the balance of, rich farmers, poor.
Social balance.
Yeah, social balance, exactly. We should. That's because these issues do stem. It's economic, social, and environmental issues, and soil is the thing we're talking about, and that's the fundament of everything that we do. So these issues should really be accessible to, not issues, but tools to work with these things should be accessible to everyone.
So the EU deal is not only for the big farmers or the rich farmers and so on.
No.
Livia, you wanted to add before something?
Yes, I want to say that for example, from Ukraine, already some scientists working here. It's pity that they need work here, but they came to us with their knowledges, and this climate difference is also giving some good advice for us.
We have a question to Livia, to you, from our viewers. Why manure is not properly applied? So, because the comment is big farmers do not always want to use green manure fields or intercropping systems. How can this be improved? It can be very good improve for soil health. Yeah. So, what's the problem? Why manure is not properly applied?
It's pity that I say such things, but storage problems is too high here in Latvia situation, when where all times were different kind of farms, and this manure remain long time in farms, and they not lost good quality properties. But nowadays this manure mass are put on fields and not put into soil directly very soon after spreading, and this is not good practice. What to do for this? We simply need to take into account this economical situation and simply manage.
That what before Elena said as well, that actually in soil there meets everything, like environmental, economical, and social sustainability. How do we maintain the balance so they can really have all these three pillars together and we have this balance between social, environmental, and economical sustainability? Kersti, maybe you can give us some advice, because if we communicate about these issues, that's the thing that usually people want to know.
Yes, it's good that you mentioned the economic side of the sustainability, because it's also an emergency. This is my personal information from Finland, that already now many farmers have financial problems, that it's the cash flow which is keeping them going. I don't know the situation in Latvia, and now we have higher fuel prices, higher fertilizer prices, and that's kind of risky business. Is the higher crop prices enough to cover those costs? So still, I think Elina knows better these things. How sustainable economically the Latvian agriculture is. I know that at least in Finland, and also in Norway, there's a kind of challenges there.
Yeah, there are challenges everywhere in these issues. We want to add something, Christina?
Yes, I was listening, and I understand that basically the good solution will be agronomic consult, because he is a person who works with politics and with researchers and have meetings with farmers too. But what I know from my experience that they always don't have so much time. They do so much jobs in the one moment, and I think that probably we just need to find new positions for this, because these people really know much, but they don't have time for talking with the farmers. But at the same, they need to give a feedback politics too, and researchers. Where was the problem? What they need research. I know that in Latvia we have very popular these farmer days. I really like it because there's so much new information. And me, for like a businesswoman, it's really interesting to see how to change society, how they work together. It's really interesting that there is so many problems, but sometimes they say it here, but people who need to listen is somewhere far away, and he doesn't get this information. So yeah, consultant is a good option.
So probably we'll see them more in the EU deal as well, because the communication to farmers will be much, maybe in a bigger scale. Also, one question: do you think that melioration is a possibility to increase the productivity of soils, and maybe the Baltic states need to support it more? Livia?
Yes, I totally agree that melioration can give good result and quite in short time, because water is one of the main properties, let's say, this time that crops need, that soil need. And if to take a handful of soil, we need know that 1/4 of this amount must be with water. And if we have not water, all is bad. Microorganisms are not enough, and this balance changing, and more crops, more getting those bad microorganisms and illnesses, and some also pests feeling this. Yeah.
Christina?
Yes, organic matter is the reason why these plants have so good protective from this all illness. But from what I have heard, that there is two middle side, that yes, it's good, but at the same time, if something goes wrong, that everything is really bad, because they really need consultant to do this really correct. Because from my experience, I have heard that they do incorrect this melioration system, and it doesn't work. They need to really understand how it's working, and I think that really need a good guideline to understand what they need to do.
Melioration is first that fields need, because we can, when we going around, in early spring we can see field with water layers, and it shows that melioration systems not works.
Slowly we are approaching to the end of this discussion, and I would like to ask you all the same question. Actually, is the soil a new gold, or can we say that we need to treat it somehow like in similar way, like a treasure, like an active? I don't know. Would you agree or disagree with this statement? Elina?
Yes, I think definitely. And I wouldn't call it new gold because I feel like it's been around since forever, since before we were here as we are today. And I just think that we need to understand that in order to lead a sustainable life, in order to leave a future to our children and grandchildren, we need to take care of our soils because we will want to eat 50 years later, and everyone will want to be able to use the same natural resources we are using today. We need to understand that the resources are not just simply available for us to at our disposal. We need to also understand that these are the things that will prevail. They will be there after we are not, and we need to be. We cannot use them without thinking about it.
Livia, what's your opinion?
Yes, soil is gold, of course, but it's gold when healthy is, and we need to take care about this.
Yes, it's gold, and as Elina said, has been around thousands of years. And I would like to remind that it's not only arable land; it's also, for instance, the urban soil is very important. So every time you consider to construct a road or house, we are losing that healthy soil. And therefore, it's really worth to think about, also in the urban planning, what to do with the soil to protect it.
Yeah, but we need houses, we need fields to grow food, we need everything, and that's why soil sustains all of us from.
Yeah, the growing food is fine because then you can keep the soil living. But if you construct a house, you should ask, do we really need this? Is there some field, brownfield, or the industrial area where you can construct a house instead of fertile soil?
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Christina.
Yes, I totally agree. Soil is a value which need to protect, always need to protect, but I think that future is not so bright just because I'm working more in peat sector, and how in this 2030 there goes this new regulations and directives that don't allow to use peat anymore. But the problem is more in horticulture because they use peat so much for growing this plant and then put in the soil. So maybe the problems are much more than we can see it now. But basically, soil is our life. Without soil, we don't have nothing.
There is one more concrete question from audience. Can you tell where opportunities for innovations are? Fertilizers or technology? I don't know why fertilizers or technology is such a combination, but where are the for innovations this place, or how it's called? Where the opportunities for innovations are. Kjersti, you wanted to share expertise, how to find opportunities for innovation.
I think the social innovations in this case they are the most important, so that the local farmers associations somehow contact them and work together with them to convince that to find the best solutions locally to improve the health of the soil and guarantee that it's sustainable, the farming.
Until now, you all agreed that, of course, we need healthy soil. It's very important for all of us. It's our gold, not new gold, but since old times here. What would be your concrete message now for, I don't know, farmers or for general audience? We start this EU mission soil in next years. There are plenty of activities. What do you recommend to focus on? What to do? What to keep an eye on and not to miss?
Well, I would just say talk to people about it. Even you don't need to be a person of policy or a researcher. If you know something about soil, you gain information about it, and in events like this, that's why events like these are so important, and there will be more of them probably because the soil deal will really focus on getting the message out, and we will see in due time what some events will be that will educate people about it. And I would just say, talk to your parents, to your children about the importance of soil, because recently I also discovered that not everyone understands how climate change works. And for me, it was just, like, okay, that it's happening, but I had to explain to someone. And that's how we can help each other also understand the importance of soil. If you have any farmers in your friend group, you should just talk to them about these practices.
So need to know what is under our feet, right? Livia, your message.
I will say same words that I usually saying when meeting with farmers. Know your soil, take samples from your soil, know properties. After analysis of those results, and after you knowing what kind of soil, what problems is your soil, make plan how to improve, how to manage to not lose that you have.
Thank you. Justin?
Maybe convincing the farmers to use the alternative farming methods which are good for the health soil. And maybe the target is that every farmer should have at least 5% of the arable land under these alternative methods.
Thank you. Christina?
I want to say that everything is balanced. There's no good or bad things. Like people say, don't use fertilizers just because they will kill your soil. It's not totally true from chemical side. People drink also some pills to get more healthy. And it's the same with the soil. They need to be combined with different elements. And also, I want to ask to go and introduce with the different information and ask questions, persons for experts also who know much more of soils. There is no stupid questions. You're persons who need to learn and understand about how everything is working in theirs. And of course, choose the option. And if you have innovation, some smart idea, just idea, not prototype or something, choose option, go to EIT, food or agriculture, and try create innovative too.
So the main issue is then to be informed, to educate yourself, to hear what is happening around and to listen to what is happening and what scientists say to us. And also the cooperation probably is also the next keyword if we want to have healthy soil. And the target is quite close, actually. 2030 is not so far away. And healthy soil, as you said, it's a very pessimistic view right now. We are losing healthy soil year by year. I hope the situation will change. And also what I hope that next time we will ask question how many of you are doing something with gardening, there will be more hands raised, and even the urban gardening is also something that we can do, everyone. So thank you so much for sharing your experience today here. We had here Elina Lāce, Senior Expert of Sustainable Agriculture Development Division of Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Latvia. Also Livia Zariņa, Leading Researcher at the Institute of Agricultural Resources and Economics. Kjosti LAMPA, Senior Advisor at Nordforsk. And Kristīna Irtiševa, Co-Founder of Humiko, a startup. And we already heard about the product. She explained us more. And also I want to thank organizers of this discussion. And this discussion was organized by Riga Technical University's Science and Innovation Center and EIT Food Hub Latvia, European leading food innovation community in collaboration with Nordic Council of Ministers Office in Latvia. Thank you for being here and hope to see you in other discussions during this day. Goodbye.